Well, once again, I'm at a disadvantage, which is sad. Hashtag Scrotus. Thing is, never forget. So I will say right now that I'd love to say that I saw every second of this event, but I would be lying if I did. I did not get in until a little bit after 9 o'clock, so I wasn't able to see everything that I wanted to see tonight. And I'll be honest with you, tomorrow is going to be the same way because of work. I actually won't be able to get in to start watching the show until around 9:15 ish. So again, I'm at a super disadvantage for this first pay-per-views since Horror Nights is over. So, but don't worry.
Boo. That's
Yeah,
what
I
we need
know.
to do. So Baron Corbin. Boo.
But let's do this proper. Welcome to another edition of the NXT Takeover Popcast, exclusively here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, is the person that's basically going to shoulder the network for this weekend of wrestling, and that would be Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works nowadays, apparently.
An interesting show.
Reading results, thankfully, I did see that. So, but we just finished the show a few minutes ago. Taking a minute to get everything ready, get all the notes ready to go. I was able to see the last few matches, but that's all I could really see. So, Ashley, what happened at NXT Takeover War Games?
The dark matches we'll obviously cover on Wednesday, but from what I've heard, the women's match with Ruby and Sonya was okay, and Don Gargano was pretty damn good. That's what we'll get to, and obviously we'll discuss it more when we actually see the actual footage from it.
Right.
Unless it was illegally filmed by Flow Slam. Probably. Taking a pot shot at you. Flow Slam. So the opener was Ono versus Lars, not from Metallica.
Yeah.
It was a brief match, which is sort of what it needed to be. And they basically did the whole, Ono doing the sort of move with doing like fast paced and all the actions within like the first 30 seconds and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I mean, he didn't no sell it, but he sort of, I guess he did to some extent because it sort of rocked him, but didn't really put him down or anything. And all the stuff that Ono was doing, and Lars was the monster that wouldn't fall.
It sounds like from like obviously I don't have the experience to be able to say I watched the match, but I will say from reading recaps that I'm seeing here, it does sound like Ono did absolutely everything in his power, but it never was enough.
No, it even got to a point like towards the end where Lars was just sort of like, keep doing it, keep beating the shit out of me because it ain't gonna do anything. And winning with a freak accident in, I don't know, about 5 minutes or so, I'd say.
About 5:15. Welcome Logan back to chat.
Then randomly we had the UK guy shown in the crowd. Tyler Trent, Mandrews, and Wolfgang. Uh, So and then we had a bit with the Undisputed Era backstage, and Regal comes in. We don't hear anything. They mute it off and all that. And clearly they're looking frustrated by what's being said. I swear that was going to indicate that, okay, they're going to be in last. They've just found out. Because they know the rules of the thing. Two of them have to get locked in the cage, whether they like it or not. Spoilers, they were the first in. So why would they be angry? That's the bit that doesn't make any logical sense to me. Anyway. Then we get to... I mean, it's interesting. To me, this was the match of the night. Which says a lot considering the main event.
I'm going to give credit here. I was watching a little bit of like I said, I was checking out a couple of the clips that I'm seeing online. There's not very many, but there's a few. And I really get a ravishing Rick Rude vibe from Patrick Clark here with the trunks.
That was the complete angle. That was the complete angle.
Good.
The tights were they had bloody Aleister Black's face on.
Yep.
And everything. He did the fucking Rick Rude gyrating thrust stuff. He did it all. He was channeling Rude.
Is this Rude and Warrior? Or is this Rude and Roberts? I mean, Roberts makes more sense given the character, but I mean,
in all honesty, if they wanted to do it right, this is your next NXT Tag Team Champions.
I could see that. I could totally see that. And again, I bring this up every time, Ashley. You know what I'm talking about. This is the time that we need a secondary championship for people to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
Big time, especially now.
If only they hadn't done the UK title, because then you could have used that belt as another.
Because I'm not gonna lie, Patrick Clark would be really awesome to have a belt right now and everybody just chasing him.
See what? Because I don't know whether it's still broadcast on television somewhere in the world. But why don't they have a network title?
See, we talked about this a long time ago.
You can't really call it a TV title.
Yeah, we talked about having a network title.
And we can't call it an internet title because, you know, Zack Ryder probably copyrighted it. Fair play if he did.
I hope you enjoyed your day at Disney today, Zach.
But I mean, that's what I think you'd call it, but I don't know.
No, a network championship makes sense, but to be totally honest, Ashley, that seems like something that should be in a 2K video game that hasn't made it yet.
Considering how fucking buggy and messy it is, after everybody was excited for it, I to be honest, I think people have lost hope in the WWE 2K video games. The amount of bugs and stuff that was in the day one release shouldn't have been there.
Agreed.
And again, it's no EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2. But yeah, the thing is, because at first I was thinking this is going to be a squash match, and we might as well release Velveteen Dream. I'm pretty sure, even if it was booked by somebody in the back, This was a Tommy End match. Because, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
he's experienced at this shit.
of course.
Tommy End made Patrick Clark tonight.
It's crazy. You're talking about all the rude comparisons here. Not only the tights and everything, not only using the rude awakening, not only doing the hip gyrations. Apparently, in the match, he also used the camel clutch.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. The only thing he didn't do is get on the mic.
He even did the Rude Awakening.
Yeah, I know. That's insane.
It's like it just happened. I mean,
I like
it was
Patrick Clark.
brilliant, like at the start as well, and
Right.
basically Black. They were doing grappling and stuff and mini bits of offense.
Mm-hmm.
Black jumped on the second rope, backflipped into his sitting pose.
Yeah.
So the response from Patrick, I'm not calling him Velveteen Dream. The response from Patrick was to do the Rick Rude hip gyrating and all that, the swivel. And Black's just like, huh, what's this shit? So Patrick immediately goes from the swivel and straight down into Aleister Black's pose, literally, and just like staring him out, saying like, "I can wait here all day, son." It's led Black to actually get up, and it's like, and then you actually had bits where Dream was getting some offense and whatever. And you had a bit where both of them eventually got tied in the ropes.
Right.
As well. Both kicked out late from their sort of supplemental finishers. Yeah, the signature move if you're playing the video game. And then eventually, after Patrick sort of shouted at him, I guess to be, yeah, that's the signal, son. Black hit Black Mass. You wouldn't know it was Black Mass because fucking Kevin Dunn didn't get it properly.
Oh, that's horrible.
The finish of the match was basically missed. As it nearly was in the women's match, as it nearly was in the title match, and as it sort of was in the main event. So I really do not know what Kevin was smoking.
And then what happens after the match was over? Just put the exclamation point on it.
Patrick's sort of crawling on the floor sort of thing next to Black, who's sitting. And Black just goes, "Enjoy infamy, Velveteen Dream." And of course, the crowd was just like, "Yes, he said his name. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, yes." And Black was like grimacing, but then at the same time was like, "He fucking said my name." Oh my god. Sorry, I'm watching this House of Hardcore main event. Shane Douglas. Oh wow, they're actually throwing all the rubbish into the ring because Shane Douglas has turned on Tommy Dreamer. And they literally had the spot in which Tommy was spiking his head with the razor blade so they could get the blood. Oh my fucking god. Well done, Twitch. God, it's a shame Wrestle Circus cancelled their show because they seem professional compared to this shit. Oh dear. Not a great way to debut, Tommy, just saying. But yeah, the stuff that happened. The stuff that happened in the Tommy End versus Patrick Clark match made both of them. Well, to be honest, Tommy was already a made man anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the match that I think will now mean people are going to take the Velveteen Dream seriously.
I've been saying this for so long. Since Tough Enough, actually. I have been a Patrick Clark supporter. And then I saw what he did on Tough Enough. Obviously, I love heels. I am one. Some might say I am normally, but that's another story from another time. The thing is, when it comes down to it, I love the character. And then when he did the Trump gimmick, which actually worked really well, and then he moved on to pretty much the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea, version 2.0, I really think that he came into his own. And now people are starting to realize what he's truly capable of. Like I said, if we had that secondary championship, Ashley, that would be his title right now. I guarantee it.
I guess.
And it should be.
Oh my God. Christ. I thought WCW pay-per-view endings were bad and that House of Hardcore one was fucking terrible. Who knows? So then we had Sanity backstage, Killian and Wolf being dicks, and Eric Young actually concentrating and discussing stuff with Regal. And then randomly, here's Funaki and Finn Balor and Asuka. Also worth noting, there was empty seats behind them. So if the show is billed as a sellout by Triple H, no, it wasn't.
They could have been in the bathroom or buying merch or just, yeah, I know, probably not.
So it's now time for the four-way women's match. Nikki Cross out first, followed by Peyton Hoyt. Kyrie Sane, I think, with new music. Then again, I haven't seen the NXT stuff in a while. And then finally, Purple Ember Moon. Because she's from Texas. I'm pretty sure she is. Oh, she isn't Houston. She's from Garland, Texas. Where is that? Where is that?
Did you say Garland, Texas?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow,
near
that actually
Dallas.
popped up immediately. You said it's near Dallas? Yeah, it's a suburb of Dallas. It's near the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
So, this wasn't too bad a match.
Right.
It had sort of like the big spots that it had to do, because that's what you can do with the four and whatever. The insane elbow got hit on both Cross and Hoyt, which Moon broke up, which led to the finish, which we'll get to. But there was another bit which was like Cross doing her fisherman suplex bit. Hoist German suplexed Ember, so she got some stuff as well. They all basically got offense and they all got defense or beating the shit out of in various ways. But the finish was weird. So Nikki and Peyton were sort of up fighting. And Hoist, I guess that was trying to, like, both were exhausted, and Cross got like an elbow in to knock Peyton out, so she was resting on top of her. Ember jumps off the top turnbuckle and hits, I guess, a double eclipse on both of them.
That's what the report says. I haven't seen the finish, so I don't know.
But it didn't look... It didn't look great, in all honesty. It wasn't executed brilliantly.
Okay.
Because as they were saying, it looked like they were trying to make out, oh, Nikki Cross got more of the brunt of it. But because it was two people, there wasn't as enough impact to make it look right. Yeah, imagine doing a double RKO. The arm can't reach far enough to make it look like it's actually hurting him. Because that's what it basically is, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And Whippersnapper is a better example.
Or I guess the stunner without the kick. To some
Whippersnapper.
extent. Yeah. But Ember wins in her home state, if you want to call it that.
Which is weird, because that doesn't normally happen.
The weird bit was Asuka was then in the ring and gave Ember the thing and hugged her and was like happy for her. And it's like, we burying the last 5 months?
Yep.
But the question, I guess Shayna is next? Or it should, well, technically it should be Billy Cat. Because that's the only person that's on that roster that probably needs it. Unless Abby Lave or Ruby Riott goes heel.
Obviously, my answer would be Mary, but they're not doing anything.
Unless the fans turn on Ember. Because it's like
it's a
she's the
possibility.
de facto champ. There was some booing when she did go up. After Kyrie, when she went up to the top after Kyrie's elbow, which she broke the pinfall up off, which then led to the double eclipse. There was some booing. Because I think that crowd did want Kyrie to win, because they're like, if you're looking at those four, only one of them is the best wrestler out of all of them. And that's Kyrie. But I sort of understood that it's too early to have her be done.
You
know, Nikki was the one that ate the fall. So Kyrie's streak is still intact to some extent. And I guess the reason why they did the Asuka thing is it made her look a bit it made her look the right sort of deal. And actually sort of somebody that the crowd could root for. It depends what happens when we get to... I mean, have we got Full Sail tapings?
Yeah, and I'm trying to go. It's the last week of the month.
Right, so right after the Thanksgiving stuff.
It is, I can actually get that information for you. It is the 29th, so it's literally Wednesday the 29th at 6:30 bell time.
That's the case. We're not having a Popcast that week. Or we're
I can't
delaying it.
guarantee I'll get in there, but I mean, I can try. I will
Or we're
say,
delaying it. We'll see.
Wednesday's show is going to be a little bit later than I'd like it to be because of that. Probably starting at 9:30 on Wednesday night instead of 9.
No problem. Then they had the commercial for NXT Philly. The tickets go on sale a week on Friday. So basically 2 weeks.
December 1st.
Yeah, basically 2 weeks minus a day. We'll have to see what gimmick gets put on that. So then they showed Roddy and Ellering and AOP, and then here's Regal. And then here's Kevin Owens wearing an Undisputed Era shirt. I can't think why, baby. Perhaps because of some Green Arrow Club or something?
Mount Rushmore.
Well, there wasn't any Super Dragon chant from the crowd, so it can't be Mount Rushmore.
Could have been. We did get a
Samoa
date.
Joe!
Yeah, of course.
Joe was big and over.
This is exactly where I came into the show because I literally came in when the next match was getting its ring introductions.
And then we get the curse of ICW.
Speaking of that, not to blow anything that's about to be talked about momentarily, but Logan said in chat that Triple H just said McIntyre's hurt.
I was gonna bring that up because the notes that I've got here, which I forgot about until seeing it, or being reminded from the notes, in the entrances, Drew was sort of having a wardrobe malfunction with his kilt.
Oh wow!
He wasn't able to get it off in order to actually wrestle in his actual ring gear. The fasteners, I guess, wouldn't unfasten. And it was only when he sort of yanked it off strong, sort of as the bell rang, when it's like, okay, that makes sense. And there was some Almas stuff at the first because obviously Zelina got involved and all that. And she did that nice. There was a spot where she tried to do a Hurricane Rana with the referee being distracted, but Drew basically stopped it.
The first time, yes.
Yes. And later on, she actually, well, I guess it was more like was it a standard Rana or was it basically like the Ruby Riot Rana?
It's one of the Ruby Riot ones. The best one would be like
because
the ground and snap Rana. Yeah,
she's short.
Kalisto does this on a regular too.
But the big thing was Almas kept going for the Hammerlock DDT.
Yep.
Which, to be honest, by the time we got to the end, looked more like a brainbuster.
It was a hanging brainbuster. That was the finish.
Yeah.
He dropped him right on his shoulder when he hit it too. Neck and shoulder first on the canvas as hard as possible.
He did hit the DDT.
Yeah.
After that, after that
False finish.
Rana, and Drew kicked out at 2.8. And then Drew managed to lock on the Claymore. And it was a brilliant bit that could have been an absolute botch. Because of Vega's size, she nearly couldn't reach to get the foot on the ropes to cause the rope break.
Well, you knew that's what they were building towards, but she barely got his foot on the bottom rope at the last second.
Yeah. Because of the size, because they weren't close enough so that she couldn't get the thing.
Right.
Which is a problem. And then the interesting bit. So Drew goes for a second one. And the fans are already booing. That's the other thing as well. These fans were massively behind Olmus.
Yep.
They were like, finally, bloody what the fuck was his name? I can't even remember. I should know off the top of my head. Bloody La Sombra.
Yeah.
The ones that were in there knew La Sombra, and they knew how good he was.
Right.
They knew how shitted on he was, and the fact that they just give him this angle. And so Drew goes for the Claymore, misses, and actually flies over the top rope. It was that powerful, apparently. Almost grabs him, brings him to from the top. Puts him on the turnbuckle. And then gives him, I guess, an elevated hammerlock DD, as you said, hanging brainbuster.
It was a hanging brain. It was a snakebite brainbuster, like Randy Orton's like draping DDT, but it was a brainbuster.
You could see the way it was done. It wasn't done right. Because what I think is Almas lost balance.
Yep.
And he was just like, do the move, which led to the spot which you've mentioned, where the note seemed to mention that we'd heard that he'd been carried, well, not carried to the back, but
helped to the back
by officials and whatever.
Right.
And you could sort of tell, even in the ring afterwards, as Almas was celebrating, his shoulder wasn't really looking good. So that's a sort of worry. If he's injured already before he even bloody gets a chance to do anything. And to be honest, because of the main event, I fear that Almas's win has been overshadowed.
I could see
Whereas
that.
to me, this is the true underdog story that Jinder wishes he was.
I also can see that.
Because Almas only came to the WWE and became a jobber. Because he was in a pretty high-profile role in a pretty high-profile company. With respect to Jinder, he wasn't in a high-profile company when he came into the E. And then garnered his, gimmick that he had for a while. And part of me also wonders whether they've put the guy over because, New Japan and Los Ingobernables de Japón. But I honestly think if they do it right, Almas is a good champion. My fear, though, is because of what they need to do, Almas is maybe even dropping that belt on the TV tapings.
Here's the thing, though. Who's been built up enough to take it? Because I was thinking Adam Cole's the next champion. I don't know now.
It depends whether whether Almas works face or not.
Could.
Well, the fact of how well it was received, the win, and how much they didn't want Drew to win. Because I honestly think Drew shouldn't have come to NXT.
I agree.
He didn't need to.
I'm starting to believe that the reason they took the title off McIntyre is that he's moving up to SmackDown.
That's the thing as well. But
because Raw doesn't need him, SmackDown does.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pleased for him.
Yeah.
After years of mismanagement from, I mean, possibly Triple H, possibly Vince. It depends,
right?
How much, who was culpable and whatever. But this was the right sort of deal, because I certainly didn't see it coming.
No, well, we had an inkling there was a possibility, but it's kind of just for like a second. But it was kind of like,
Yeah.
nah, they're not going to do that.
It was a sort of possibility of it didn't make sense, sort of on paper. But just
Not
from
at
the
all.
way that the match went and the fact that the crowd, you know, even though we weren't all the way behind him, the fact that the crowd was probably has swayed me and proved
Yeah, I wasn't.
that, you know, it's like the crowd not giving a shit about Bayley, despite the fact that I love Bayley. You know, even I'm sort of realizing the Bayley experiment is over.
Yep.
Something needs to change.
Agreed.
Whether it's Bayley going heel or somebody that's actually, you know, like Sasha going heel to her to give her that next bit of impetus and momentum and whatever. That's what happened tonight with Almas.
I mean,
Almas to me did a better performance tonight in winning his belt than Jinder did beating Orton.
completely agreed.
And, you know, if it finished, I wouldn't be surprised if it did finish at the Royal Rumble. I'd love it to go longer than that. But my fear is just they're just going to have him drop the belt to somebody randomly on TV. And he's going to be considered sort of transitional champ material.
I see where you're coming from.
And I don't want that to happen.
No.
Because, you know, the shit that he's been through. Quickly go to the wiki. You know, he debuted beating Ty Dillinger.
Right.
Wow, last year. I thought he'd been longer there by that. But then he jobbed to Bobby Roode literally on the next show, which didn't make sense.
True.
Then he got jobbed to Roddy Strong at San Antonio. And then did nothing for a while, at least in terms of major stuff, until Rosita showed up. And I guess the start of momentum with the Johnny Gargano win.
I
All
didn't
that.
care about Almas when he first came in at all. We were like really talking him down because he was never given, like you said, he was never given the chance to really prove what he could do.
He did that match with Dillinger. He did.
Yeah, I like the match
But
with
then,
Ty.
but then the fact that 2 months later they fed him to Bobby Roode.
Yep,
It's
that was a
like,
mistake.
so wait, the guy you were pushing 2 months before, you're literally burying already, which was weird because I would have thought it's like, seriously, he's a big ass name in Mexico.
Right?
People, as soon as the mask was taken off him, people were like, my God, he's that handsome. Thank God he doesn't have the mask, which immediately led to the whole, WWE tapping him up within like 2 months, I think. And he'd done wonders in CMLL, especially in the last year or so with the whole momentum of the Los Ingonobles stable, which of course spun off into LIJ. Just, I guess, like, the Mexican World Order spun off from the New World Order, sort of. I guess Latino World.
Latino World Order?
Yeah. Yeah, but even with that mask changeover, he lost them in a mask versus mask match to Atlantis. The key thing about Atlantis is he's about, trying to think, about 79,000 years old. Not in a good way. But it's like, okay, Atlantis is 55, and at the time he would have been 53. It's a guy who's clearly there as sort of the nostalgia act.
Right.
But then you've got this guy who's come through the ranks for over about a decade, give or take, who's only 26, and he's getting buried by somebody double his age and having to unmask. When he could have been, up there as it stands now with Titan and Volador Jr. and all that. And Rush, always garnering a lot of attention with. Imagine what Almas could do with Hiromu Takahashi and Daryl.
No lie.
But the thing is, because WWE is like, oh, nobody wants to see the Lucha Libre style, it took him a while to adjust. And the fact that he's now... I mean, the key thing to note is the finishing move is La Sombra.
Yep.
A shadow. So, I guess that's the nice sort of touch. But, yeah, I am really pleased that
It was solid.
he's been given an opportunity. I don't know how much of an opportunity it's going to be, but
We shall see.
let's see where it goes. But as I say, that all got overshadowed by the main event,
Oh, yeah.
the War Games match. With the added stipulation that if you leave the cage, you forfeit the match. Why didn't you put a roof on it then? Other than for 2 spots, maybe?
Yeah.
Um, The other weird bit as well is they decided to have Roderick Strong dress up as a Authors of Pain guy. In all honesty, he needed to have gear that didn't look like Authors of Pain. I mean,
He did. He had gear that looked like the Truth Commission.
Yeah, but so did the other two.
Yeah, I'm aware of this.
I'm saying he needed to borrow Christopher Daniels' Nazi jacket and come out in a sort of different attire, still war-based and everything, but not looking like sort of, some guerrilla warfare guy from the Deer Hunter or something.
Metal Gear Solid came to mind for me.
To some extent, maybe. So we started off with EY, the Bay, and Roddy in the ring.
Like nature intended.
With the other three being on the stage in the shark cages, waiting for the lights to shine because obviously, alien abductions and all that. And, with the fact that Undisputed Era were first, they obviously destroyed both of them. Then it was Authors of Pain.
Which is interesting, giving the tag champions the advantage.
Who literally threw everybody into the other ring.
Yep.
Including their own teammate. Because they threw him on top of them all. And then we got to the match beyond. No, I can't remember if anybody actually said it.
No. I was hoping they would, but no, Morrow did not say it.
So, apparently Alexander Wolf thought he was the big boss man.
Yeah, I noticed that.
With the bloody nightstick. By the end of the thing, he was an unfortunate replica of Big Boss Man, and that he was nearly dead.
A lot of hard way juice in this match.
Yeah, but his was different. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
And then Killian was just like, here's some fucking trash cans. Here's some fucking kendo sticks. Here's some fucking chairs. Oh, wait, what are the crowd chanting? Here's some fucking tables.
This is how weapons match. Someone on Twitter said they basically turned War Games into Lethal Lockdown.
Well, considering they didn't fucking do it, yes.
Yeah.
It was one of the best hardcore matches this year.
Easily.
The fact that the whole Kyle O'Reilly swing the chair bounces off the ropes and it smacks himself in the face. That was good. And while that all happened, Killian shuts the door, struggles to at first. I thought we were going to have a Botchamania moment there. Then chains up the door, padlocks it, and makes it look like he eats the key. So nobody's getting out. Which is sort of annoying considering the bloody way that the show nearly closed. When the referee had to go, the door's locked. You got to wait for the thing to go off. There were so many spots in this, I never kept track of it. There was the ridiculous one with the one I do remember is Killian Dane doing a Michinoku driver with Cole onto Bobby Fish in such a way that he probably sat on his dick and broke it into 15 different places. Because he went down that hard. There was God knows how many different... They all did the spots and everything. And then we sort of get the bit where it went wrong. When Wolf German suplexed Razor through the tables that have been put in the other ring. What I'm guessing happened is Wolf managed to get his head meeting the edge of one of those tables.
Yep.
And sometimes that happens and it's like, okay, there's a cut. This was like an Eddie Guerrero style cut. There was that much blood coming out of it.
It looked bad.
And you never saw him again. He, of full credit to him, he did a couple of spots when we were getting to the finish. But then, after the match finished and everything, he was sort of just lying at the side of the cage for like 5 minutes, not moving. And I'm like, is he actually fucking dead? Because he was still bleeding like a somewhat stuffed pig. Not fully, but it was getting to the point where it's like, well, we know if they're fucking doing a recap of this on the network, we're putting bloody black and white screens all over this shit. With Eric Young's injury, when he busted his nose, that was more of a sort of like, okay, something, by accident happened. But he's okay. This was at such a point, I was like, can we seriously fucking... I know the fans will boo, but somebody's dying in the ring of blood loss. Can we please have somebody get there? Otherwise, we're going to have a death in the ring. Great job, Triple H. Way to overshadow Survivor Series. Oh, yeah. AJ Brock, who gives a shit? Somebody fucking died. Going on to actually like the nice stuff. There was... So Adam basically got onto the top of the cage. Just trying to get away. Eventually trying to escape, which was pretty ridiculous. But Killian went after him. Meanwhile, Killian had put O'Reilly in one of the corners with a trash can. And Killian literally climbed up to Adam Cole. And he just shouted at him, "I'm going to kill your friend. Turn round." Bloody Van Terminated Cole. Sorry, Van Terminated O'Reilly. Beautifully. Which is going to make Shane tomorrow go, well, fuck, I can't do that move anymore. Then there was the bit sort of straight after this where Roddy sort of came to, and they did the super duper ultra superplex off the top of the cage onto everybody else, barred Wolf, because he's dead. He's not fat, he's dead. And then eventually it was Cole that got the win on Eric Young after smacking him with a kendo stick, and then the Shining Wizard with a steel chair into EY. This went, I don't even know how long it went.
35, 36 and a half.
No, well, technically, if you include the preamble, it went 50 minutes. I think. At least from what I can tell. If it went 15 minutes, because you had obviously the 10, 15 minutes of preamble.
Mm.
Yeah. It's interesting that you know, the result sort of made sense because you're still trying to put over the Undisputed Era and everything. And of course, because there was no titles on the line, you know, there was no sort of culpable stuff. As I say as well, I was a bit concerned by what the shit was going on with Wolf. And I don't know whether Triple H did any updates to that. I'm guessing Logan saw the Facebook thing. So he'll be able to tell us if there was anything. But
Torn bicep.
Eh?
Exactly what Taz said too. Twitter said it's torn bicep.
To Wolf.
Well, I don't know about Wolf. I know
Yes,
that.
I'm more concerned about the guy that lost all his fucking blood.
Well, the funny thing about it is no one's saying anything about him right now.
He's actually dead. We would just replace him with Volta again, I guess. We'll bring some other German in that will be, you know, do crazy shit. That to me is the bigger concern than Drew.
Right.
Drew, it's like it's an injury he can heal from here. I mean, of course you can heal from blood loss, but the amount of level of blood loss, it's like that's concerning. You know, as I say, we haven't seen that probably in the E since probably since Eddie. We haven't seen anybody go that bad on color for quite a while. Which makes me wonder whether they need to be careful. Well, I guess there aren't any sort of hardcore matches on Survivor Series, is there?
I don't believe so.
They all have DQ rules and everything, so. And obviously now that TLC is gone and it's Night of Champions, there doesn't have to be any at the end of the year as well. So, you know, it's just making me think, can we find another fucking table supplier that doesn't provide sharp edges to the tables? Because this is getting to be a problem in all the companies. You're getting people gashed on the back, gashed on the side, gashed on their chest. Or in the case of Alexander Wolf, gashing an artery on the back of the head. To me, that sort of thing is just as bad as direct chair shots to the head. It doesn't need to happen because it's a health hazard. You know, there's a reason why Abdullah the Butcher is considered persona non grata because of blood. Admittedly, he did it himself. I'm looking at you, Tommy Dreamer. That bloody angle of let me show you me stabbing my face so I can get the blood out. Tommy's probably ripping the shit into one of the camera guys or the producers. But I mean, yes, it's not War Games.
No.
But for the modern recreation of it, if this is going to become an annual thing or a occasional thing, you know, perhaps every 18 months or whatever, I have no objections.
Other than not having a roof, it looked like a traditional War Games cage. That was literally the only difference. That's a big difference, but still, it worked. It really did work. They delivered tonight. And once again, as we always say, it seems like every takeover, WWE followed this.
Yeah.
And speaking of WWE follow this, Hot Topic has their Black Friday deals starting for the next 24 hours. You get a preview of what you're getting. All t-shirts, $10.
Even the club?
All the Bullet Club merchandise is now $10 for the t-shirts only. And that includes, the only thing it's not is the hoodie and the sweatpants, well, the pajama pants, and the patches, the beanie, and the hat.
I'm
All the
seeing
regular.
some stuff in the forums and online. If you go to that bit where they showed the table aftermath and the bloodied wolf, he was literally apparently Eddie Guerrero gushing.
Good Lord.
That one table was basically completely coated in blood. There was that much coming out.
Same.
That's why I was concerned for the man.
I could totally understand you there.
I mean, I don't want to see a GIF of it, but I just like, it'd be worth trying to check it out, on the archive to obviously get the whatever.
Right.
What the hell is this news? Sorry, I'm getting distracted by probably more important news. It's a bit weird. Oh, damn it. Stop loading the pictures. Yeah, it seems as if there might be some NWA related stuff to Cage of Death.
Interesting.
Because for some reason, the NWA people, like Dave Lagana and Tim Storm, got tagged in a Cage of Death poster. Is a bit. Well, that's disappointing. Motor City Machine Guns versus Best Friends. That's disappointing. I'm also trying to find out what happened tonight on the Ring of Honor stuff, but apparently nobody was actually telling us online. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else on the. Just checking social media if there is anything.
One Triple S says, I felt the finish should have been better for War Games. Everybody was so blown up by the time that we actually got to the finish. I think it was a very satisfying end to the match.
Plus, there was a fucking dead man right in the frame.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he was lit all the time. I wasn't looking at like what they were doing in the wrestling thing. I was like, he isn't fucking moving. He isn't moving. Are we sure? Are we sure he's okay? He's been there for like 2 minutes. 3 minutes later, it was bloody Undisputed Era celebrating. He still hasn't moved. Nobody's even gone to him to check whether he's actually still got a pulse. And then all of a sudden, he starts moving like within a minute of like the credits coming up, the logo in the corner, and I'm like, oh my thank fucking god, he's alive! Wolf is alive! Oh, nearly scared the shit out of me, but yeah. All in all, as you said, you're up. Make sure you deliver, WWE. NXT providing a good show again.
Am I seeing a... Yep, I totally am. Am I seeing new... Who are the current ROH Tag Team Champions right now?
The Bucks, isn't it?
I'm seeing pictures of Chris Sabin holding up the Ring of Honor tag belt.
Oh, did the titles change hands tonight?
That's what it looks like.
I don't know whether the actual page for...
It looks like we got Machine Guns as now tag team champions.
Oh, that would have been... No, they were... No, sorry, they were still champions, weren't they?
Yes, I
Retained
think.
against MWL.
They retained. We'll have results on Wednesday for the show.
They retained. So I guess best friends are challenging for the belt. It's just there aren't any titles in the picture that I saw for the thing, so that's why I was a bit sort of confused.
Oh man! So I am watching this Texas Death match between Cody and Christopher Daniels for the Ring of Honor World Title that's going on right now in Dallas, and they set a table on fire. Daniels went for a top rope hurricanrana, and Cody powerbombed through a flaming table.
Wait, is this like stills?
That is a gift, sir.
Yeah, but it's Twitter gifs. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay. And photos. I guess that's
Yeah,
what I'll be
hashtag ROH
for.
Dallas. We'll get more information.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for a hashtag.
When Triple S is under our same impression that is McIntyre going to the main roster after the rematch. I think he's going to SmackDown for sure. Sabin is challenging Kenny King.
Oh wow! I'm just listening to the crowd reaction to the. I guess it made sense for Daniels to set it up. Plus, he's probably used to like jumping into fire at Waterworld.
That's exactly right.
I'm guessing. Of course, tomorrow they've obviously got the whole angle as well. Yeah, they're doing a head-to-head show with Survivor Series. No, I think that's the last show before Final Battle because they taped the stuff last week.
Right.
They're doing for all the angles and all that. And again, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the survival of the fittest because normally whoever wins that is either part of the title hunt for the TV tapings down the line or possibly, for the other shows that they've got coming up, which at the minute seems to only be Supercard of Honor in April, but there you go. I guess the other big news that came out, which we'll talk about more on Wednesday, is the fact that Tanahashi's working WrestleMania weekend for Rev Pro. So I guess he's staying over from the New Japan thing 2 weeks before. So yeah, 1 day down, too many more to go. All 6, well, possibly 7 hours. Because there are some reports saying, yeah, because it's one of the big 4 pay-per-views, they're going to let it possibly drag out to 5 hours, and that's not including the pre-show.
Right.
My problem is, how do you do that with the card that you've got? Because you don't want the matches going too long, in all honesty. Or what if what if the women's match actually doesn't happen because the final four are left to be the four horsewomen, and then Shield style the bloody the UFC four horsewomen just jump and beat the shit out of both of them, so it's like there is no result. Because that angle needs to happen sooner rather than later. I'm guessing, and it'd make sense because it is Philly, and it is a fighting town. Perhaps they do the four horsewomen versus four horsewomen angle at the Rumble. And then if they want to do it, do the Charlotte Ronda angle at WrestleMania. To build to it. In which case, it probably doesn't make sense for Shayna to be in pursuit of the NXT Women's title. And again, there's nobody else on the women's roster that I can think of off the top of my head that would be a worthy sort of first contender for Ember.
Not right now.
Unless, of course, somebody turns heel. So
we'll see.
Because I don't know what happened in the Riot Sonya match, because she could have just been brutal and murdered Sonya. Should have been good, but
I do have results.
I think a lot for. Well, we got the results and everything, but I don't want to sort of cover it too much because obviously we'll talk about it Wednesday, and I'm actually hyped for Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong. I know who won.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be unsurprised that the UK title might have stayed with a UK guy. Otherwise, there might have been some uproar considering the whole talk from Triple H about they're actually doing. Yeah, I said actually twice. Because it's to stress they're actually doing a UK concept for a show at the minute. But it's just a case of getting it executed and getting it on the right network, I guess. The best bit is that they actually just pair up with ITV and combine it with World of Sport and actually make it into a thing. Even if it's a short-term series. In terms of the World Tag League 1 SSS, Sammy and Juice beat Evil and Sonada, and Suzuki and Izuka lost because Izuka's a twat. I can't remember who they were up against. It doesn't fully get completed until further down the line. By the time we get to Wednesday, everybody will have had one match. That's the thing worth noting. Also, if you want a recap of the World Tag League, my advice is watch it yourself because they put up the first night in its entirety up for free on YouTube. Instead of streaming like the undercard, like the first 2 or 3 matches, like they normally do, they literally streamed the entire thing. They said it was a Thanksgiving present, which I guess it was. Maybe. But yeah, they actually gave 10 minutes to, I guess, the pseudo main event of Okada, Ospreay, and Gedo versus Naito, Bushi, and Takahashi. Makes sense. So yeah, we'll cover that in more detail on Wednesday.
Right.
Or if tomorrow's shit, tomorrow. But we'll see.
It's going to be another Ashley show tomorrow, everyone, because, I don't get to watch much of anything.
You'll be able to see some of it. Plus, if it does go 5 hours, you'll probably be able to watch the second half. One SSS is saying, why can't they do it on the network like 205 Live? Nobody watches 205 Live. That's the point. If you're trying to popularize British wrestling, what's the point in putting it on a service that not everybody's going to have the money to do? If they literally went to like ITV, there's the possibility that they could have, I don't know, 4 or 5 million people watching, which is like, okay, that's the numbers that it normally is for Raw in America. But keep in mind, the UK is, in population terms, 5 times smaller. So a 5 or 6 million over here would be literally the equivalent of 30 million people watching Monday Night Raw every week. Then again, I don't know. Well, they didn't really publicize the World of Sport one well. Because it's the WWE, it might get more people actually watching. Plus, if they actually share the money sort of split, you know, and you know, ITV is willing to put up some of the money as well, because we know that WWE isn't wanting to spend as much money as they want to in terms of stuff. I mean, you know, look how little pyro you've had over the last, you know, what, 6 months.
Mm.
Technically, the only pyro you got was all the fireworks at WrestleMania. That's it, really. Nothing else, but yeah, that's the reason why I think it's if you want to say to people the only way you can catch the archive is on the network, that's a sensible thing to do, but not many people can be asked to get the network. I don't even know what the UK figures are. But the fact that they had a sellout crowd in the UK of like, I don't know, let's say in the region of 10,000, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be that many people watching the network stuff.
No, not at all.
Plus, you know, and the main reason why the Sky thing is failing in terms of the stuff is because when they do show it live, nobody wants to stay up till between 1 and 4 in the morning. If you said, okay, we can have, you know, if you could put like, oh, I'm trying to think, the equivalent of, I guess, the hour of Ring of Honor in the sort of traditional time that wrestling is always on over here, which was Saturday afternoons. There'd be a lot of people watching, I'd have hoped. You know, whereas with the network, you know, and that's the thing as well. If you're trying to do it and say, you know, that's the part of the reason as well that I thought that they were going to flop with the UK tournament. Because part of me was fearing they were, well, I guess they couldn't logistically, but part of me was fearing that they were going to do it and made sure that they showed it only at times that suited Americans. I guess to some extent that happened with the Cruiserweight Classic because there was a lot of British interest in that. Wouldn't the show be 50 minutes with 3 matches? Well, I guess. Yeah, because you'd have to put the adverts in and everything, but so be it. More wrestling that we've had on TV of any quality. Sorry, Impact / GFW / whatever you want to call yourself. In years. You know, and you probably don't know this one, SSS. There was the one promotion, what was it? Destiny Wrestling? I'm getting that. It's got a similar. I'm trying to think. Was it actually Defiant?
We're talking about WCPW?
No, the other one. They were literally saying how they were going to be on UK television. They had a special show. which was Drew McIntyre based around because he actually did commentary on the main event. John Morrison beat Rey Mysterio in the final. Just randomly. It was organized by the 5-Star Wrestling guys. And they said how they were doing a 128-man tournament. This was like 3 weeks after the whole What Culture World Cup tournament got announced.
It's 5-Star Wrestling.
Yeah, but it wasn't called that. They gave themselves another name for the show. I can't even remember what it is. And
Dominant.
That's it. It was something like Defiant and whatever. It was like it didn't make sense in terms of a name. They announced it and it just died. Because basically they did all the shows and they set them up, and then literally with about 2 or 3 weeks before they were going to do it, they went, oh yeah, we're cancelling them until next year, which I think is like February, so in a couple of months from now. And it's like, oh, here's Rob Van Dam, and it's like, so you're doing a 128-person tournament, of which probably most of the companies in the world wouldn't be able to show up on it because of other deals that they've got, which restricts anything. Also, the network it's on, one, I can't get, despite the fact that they're saying it's going to be good. They fell out of the deal that they were doing with Preston City Wrestling, or Preston Championship Wrestling, whichever. Can't remember. PCW, at least I know that's what the acronym is. And even with that, when they showed the bloody Mexican wrestling a few months back, they only showed it for 3 weeks, because after 3 weeks, it like prime time sort of, or no, like 5 or 6 o'clock, I think it was. They decided to show matches with direct hair shots of the heads and blood gushing, a la bloody Alexander Wolf, at a time when kids are watching, with no parental advisory. So basically, the show got rescinded and they dropped it. ICW, well, that's the thing. ICW, they have their Fight Club stuff, which they put up more often than not on YouTube. But with YouTube, well, I don't know whether it is properly age gated on YouTube, but it's sort of like, I guess, Lucha Underground, in that you know what it's going to be like. Yeah, because when I think Lucha Underground, you pretty much think crazy shit violence, don't you, Owen?
Of course.
So it's the precedent. It's like, it's like what WWE did to ECW. They castrated it. It wasn't what it should have been. Because WWE couldn't be seen to do that because obviously, New York Stock Exchange listed company and all that.
Wow.
What?
So, yay, Twitter. Come on, make sure I got this. And Kaz and Daniels just put Stephen Amell through a table.
It's also worth noting some very interesting shit going down in terms of Shikara and the whole Quackenbush thing. And apparently somebody else wants a match with Quack before he retires for good. And that man's David Starr, so, excited! Yeah, all this shit's happening because apparently, everybody wants to do stuff. Tomorrow we've got ICW Fear and Loathing. We've got the culmination of Ring of Honor Survival of the Fittest. and Survivor Series. Jesus Christ.
I'm still trying to find out anything about Alexander Wolf, and I can't find anything.
Well, I'm guessing they're probably taken into some sort of medical facility.
That would be a correct answer.
Yeah. That's why we probably don't know anything. But as I say, full credit for him for actually doing at least a couple of spots right at the end, even though he was probably only running on about 70% blood.
Right.
The fact that he still did was it a German suplex spot or something?
Yes.
Or an angle slam? That's when he rolled into the side of the cage and I thought he was dead. It was something like that. It was the smorgasbord, everybody hits their finishers, which led to the bit at the end that we talked about.
Oh, I love finishers galore.
Yeah. So I guess that's where we'll leave it.
All right.
As we try and recover.
We progress NXT to find out what's going to happen on Wednesday.
I guess the mixed news for Survivor Series tomorrow is there's no Atunga.
Yep.
The reason why I say it's mixed is, of course, the only reason that he isn't on there is because the whole Jennifer Hudson split and all that.
Right.
See, the issue he's saying there about Authors of Pain going to the main roster, where do they go? I guess Raw, because obviously you've got so many teams that have got half the guys injured. What with Revival and Hardys and everything. But to me, they'd be better Bludgeon Brothers than Harper and Rowan.
Agreed.
And I think Harper and Rowan is a failed experiment. Bray killed their careers as well, which is annoying because, Harper's really good. Rowan, when he was having that singles run, had some enticing bits about him. The fact they're still being stuck together is like, that's why Luke's singles run with was it the US title?
Intercontinental.
It was the IC, yeah.
Yep.
That run was damn good. Part of me wants to see Authors of Pain on the main roster because that means Paul Ellering's on the main roster. Especially when it comes to, we must be close to the 30th anniversary of something to do with the Legion of Doom in WWE. On Starcade 87. Is that the one that I think it is? Oh no, it isn't the Skywalker's one. Was that supposed to be spelt wrong? I'm just noticed that the Starcade 1988 had the subtitle of True Grit, but they spelt it with 2 T's. I'm trying to remember why. Oh wow, that's weird. Starcade 87 was the last Starcade in the traditional slot as well. Because Starcade 88 was when it went to move to Christmas for some reason. Oh, that was because it went head-to-head with WWE, wasn't it?
Right.
Come to think of it. Okay, that makes sense now. So, yeah. Tomorrow we've got the Survivor Series. Monday we've got the fallout from Survivor Series, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wednesday will be the NXT stuff, along with your SmackDown and 205 Live fallout and all the other promotions in the globe and stuff. I guess.
Very true.
Space for the outro, Owen.
Yeah, it's going to be your show. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I'd love to say I'd be more into everything tomorrow, but that's not going to be the case. I'll probably see maybe 2 hours of the show if I can. Let's hope. We should get back to normal this week, hopefully. Hope everyone enjoyed NXT Takeover War Games. If you haven't checked it out yet and you're done watching the show, then check it out on the network or any of the other way you have to watch the show. And Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
I am on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK.
Had a brand new Versus that came out this week with AJ content. Justice League review was earlier today, or should I say yesterday, and like I said, a bunch of wrestling content coming your way. Sip and Snack returns next Thursday. Gaming with Ash will be returning soon as well, and more AJ content. So stay tuned to the network for all your entertainment needs. And as always, in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that once more tonight you've chosen a Popcast. And thank everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
But is he alive? Is he actually alive?